Come along with us on a wholehearted journey through the complexities of being human and mental health at this point in history. In Bridging Generations, Exploring Mental Health Together, join my favorite daughter, Karen Baker, a graduate counseling student, and me, Wayne Baker, a licensed professional counselor for close to 20 years. We delve deep into the world of relationships and mental well-being. We're both therapists, yoga teachers, a little ADD, and lifelong learners. Together, we hope to create a safe, secure, and encouraging environment in which we can learn, reflect, engage, and possibly find a community where we feel less alone. Additionally, we encourage one another to explore what it means to live in connection with ourselves and each other. So let's begin with a big, slow exhale and continue this journey with deep listening, radical curiosity, and profound compassion. Hey, welcome everybody to our very first podcast, our inaugural edition of Bridging Generations, Conversations about Mental Health. My name is Wayne Baker. I'm an LPC. I've been in private practice for about 20 years. And I have this beautiful co-host with me here today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Karen Baker. I am Wayne Baker's daughter. I am in my last year of my master's program to become a counselor.
You only have 8 weeks to go?
I think after this week, I'll have 12.
Oh, okay.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. I'm in my clinical hours now, seeing clients. It's a master's of education and counseling development. I've always known for a really long time that I've wanted to be a counselor and support and help people in some type of way. And I guess the apple does not fall far from the tree in that sense. So really excited to be here and to get to do this, especially with one of my most favorite people in the world.
Thanks. Same here.
Yeah.
I think you and I have always had conversations about, a whole host of things.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have called it mental health stuff back in years ago,
Yep.
or spirituality or boys or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And when you started this master's program, those conversations just became more and more frequent. And you would share things with me about what you were learning, and I would share things about what I was thinking about. And we just have had this running dialogue. And so I don't remember how it all happened a few months ago when we were like, maybe we ought to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think from what I remember, I was up where you are in Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here in Austin, Texas. And we were driving around. We were in the Subaru because naturally everybody in Colorado has Subarus. And we were having some type of conversation, and the both of us were like, "We need to do a podcast. We just need a podcast." To that testament of, just how the conversations we would have would deepen in some ways you bringing in the decades of experience and wisdom and personal experiences, and then me bringing in all of this new information and research and things that I'm learning, and just kind of exactly what you said of having these really cool, really profound conversations that we get to have as father and daughter, and then also as how our relationship is starting to shift into peers and colleagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully that's what we bring, is just a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a lot planned.
Yep.
We've got several interviews with good friends that are in the field, or a tangential field.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right?
I don't know what that means.
Tangent.
Oh, okay, got it.
Related.
Okay, got it.
Not exactly on the mark.
Got it.
But we have several of those, and we may even bring in some other older family members of ours that might have a perspective on some of the topics that we're going to talk about. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we have a lot planned, starting with several conversations about internal family systems, which is really near and dear to both of our hearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And has played a big part in the transformation, the healing in both of us as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah. Dad, would you give like just a short, because we'll do a whole series and episodes on internal family systems, but just like a really short like synopsis of what it is for people who might not be familiar?
Yeah, sure. Well, I was introduced to internal family systems back in 2005 by a good friend of mine, Betty Holmes, who was kind of one of the pioneers of internal family systems. And she did this short little demonstration with me in front of the class. And I got in touch with this little 4-year-old part of me. And I was like, what just happened? So that piqued a curiosity in me. And the way I describe internal family systems is that we all have this true self, which is good. And we would say that there are qualities of self. And even in some of the trainings, therapists and trainers have dialogues about what is this entity, this being that we call self. But in short, self is this entity, this being that we all possess. Some might say it's a spark of God or a divine, a cup of the divine, something that is innately good. And it is the healing agent within all of us. And qualities of self would be curiosity and compassion and creativity and calm and connection, persistence, patience, playfulness. It's not an exhaustive list. Another mentor of mine, Tony Herbine Blank, uses the term open-heartedness. There's an open-hearted quality to self.
Mhm.
And then there are these other things, these other entities that we call parts, or people in the past, like Freud and Jung and all these guys have talked about this multiplicity of our personality, like anger and scared, um, overwhelmed. Any of those kind of parts are just sub personalities of our total being that really just need healing.
Mhm.
And some of these parts of us are protectors and they act in a proactive nature. Like there are managerial parts that get us up in the morning and get us through grad school and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. We're not going to get rid of them. We don't want to.
Right.
And then there are other kind of protectors that are more reactive. Uh, Sometimes anger can be that, or sometimes an addiction
Yeah.
or addictive qualities can be reactive. And a lot of those two different types of protectors are driven by uh, we call exiles, these more softer, tender, vulnerable parts of us that hold a lot of pain, usually from childhood and a lot of times all the way up through adolescence. They can appear later in life if there's a trauma, but these are the parts that are scared or sad, um,
Shamed.
shamed, lonely. Yeah, all of that. So that's a super brief overview. And Dick Schwartz, who developed this probably 35 years ago or so, he started listening to his clients talk about parts. And we've all said it, right? There's a part of me that wants to go here, a part of me that doesn't. Part of me really likes this person, a part of me doesn't. So he got really curious about what are these parts that we talk about? We've been talking about these for generations.
Mhm.
He just got really curious about that and developed this model. And again, people have been talking about parts, using parts language in some way or fashion, some way or fashion that for 100 years or more.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and to that, the parts is what you were saying at the end. I mean, it's the parts of a relationship. Part of our relationship is father-daughter.
mhm. Yeah.
You are still, I mean, my sage teacher, wise counselor that I go to for advice on just about everything. And then the other part of our relationship is really good friends. And then
Mm.
another part of our relationship is colleagues and peers. Um, I'm sitting here thinking about who's gonna cry first during the podcast.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. For everybody who's listening and learning about us, I mean, Dad and I are both very sensitive people that we see, and we see that as like as a superpower. But we're both very easily moved to tears, and so it'll be a fun bet to see who cries first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Uh-huh. I mean, as we were kind of talking about internal family systems, I mean, the conversation that you and I have had around it before too is, I mean, it's the movie Inside Out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for those that have seen the Pixar film Inside Out that I think came out in 2015 or 14
I
or
don't
so.
remember. It's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah.
But it's joy and sadness and disgust and fear and anger. It's all of these different parts and how they interact with one another.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we internal family systems therapists were kind of doing cartwheels when that movie came out, because before that it was the movie The Kid that I would refer people to, that was really good about showing just briefly parts so that people could get examples, having an example of what parts.
Mhm. Is
I mean,
that movie before my time? I don't know if I've seen
probably.
it.
I mean, you were little. It's Bruce Willis and Gene Smart.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You should,
Okay. You have a homework assignment now to go watch The Kid, because
okay,
it's a beautiful movie.
okay, I'll watch it.
Also, like, I like the movie. You even mentioned this the other day in one of our conversations about how sadness
Mhm.
um, can touch the sad part of us, can even touch previous memories that were good,
Mhm.
and they get changed.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful depiction of the way memory works, and metaphors and everything falls apart at some point,
Right.
but it's a great overview.
Yeah, there's one scene in Inside Out, the first one, because the second one is coming out this year, and I am currently doing cartwheels about it because I'm very excited. But joy and sadness, who are voiced by Amy Poehler and Phyllis from The Office. I can't remember
Oh yeah,
the other
yeah.
actress's name. They're walking through long-term memory. And as sadness is walking, she's touching all of these like memory orbs, and they're turning from this bright yellow, which stands for joy, to this like real deep blue, which is sadness. And so it's a really beautiful, I mean, to that idea, I mean, memories can change from the past. So yeah. And internal family systems parts work is definitely very near and dear to the both of us. I'm sure we'll talk more about it. As we're kind of getting, I think there's some logistical things that we need to cover real
Okay.
quick too, around kind of podcast structure, like what people can expect. And if I'm being entirely honest, I don't remember what we originally decided.
I think it was every other week.
Yeah, every other week, new
We're
podcast.
going to play around with it.
Yeah, well,
We'll get a cadence.
yeah. And again, I mean, to a testament to what we want this podcast to be, it'd be around discovery, exploration, curiosity, and that I think too of if we decide on something, it could change. It doesn't have to be one type of way. So yeah. But so that's, I think, what we've talked about before is kind of every other week, once a month or so, roughly 45 minutes, but we've talked so much. I'm kind of wondering if that's actually going to be realistic, or we'll see what our wonderful producer, Renee Lovecraft, can do in cutting out some of this stuff.
Right.
So, and as our audience is building, we completely welcome participation
For sure.
on
Feedback is good.
the feedback, and whether that's through the social media websites, we're on Instagram, on Facebook. I am on LinkedIn as well. We'll have a website as well, and so there will be places to reach out to us, mailing address, to give us feedback of respectful and civil conversation feedback. That is the things that you maybe want to hear us talk more about, or disagreements, whatever. I mean, all of it is welcome. And I say that hesitantly, but it's all welcome.
Parts are welcome.
Yes, all parts are welcome. And then I think the kind of last bit of kind of logistics stuff too has been, and we've talked a little bit about this, and like, who do we want to listen here?
I would say that I would hope maybe it's other lifelong learners, whether you're a therapist or somebody that's just a lifelong learner about whatever the topics we talk about. Come along with us. That's how I see, we're just having conversations around the stuff, the topics that are important to us. And we're going to invite other people to join us, either in our respective studios in this space that we're creating. Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
How do you see it?
No, I love that people that are learners. I think too is originally we had talked about, like, is this going to be something that is for other mental health professionals? Is it for the general public? Is it both? And I think that it's really a both. It's a por qué no los dos situation that that anybody is invited who is interested to be a part of the conversation, to be curious, to ask questions, to learn, that wants to hear the emotional musings and probably rants of two random folks in Colorado and Texas.
It'll evolve.
Yeah, and
as conversations and relationships do.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. So, and then, the other thing is that, Karen mentioned that we have websites. She has hers. They'll be in the show notes, our social media platforms, and you can listen to this wherever you get your podcasts.
Then the last shout out that I think that we need to give is to our wonderful wonderful producer, Renee Lovecraft, dear friend,
Awesome.
Dear friend of the both of us, that I lovingly call my sister, my mother, and my friend. Of throw in other person that has taught me and shared her wisdom and experience, is Renee, for sure. So excited to have her kind of walk this journey with us, and support us and keep the both of us organized.
Yes, wouldn't happen without her.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, this has been fun.
This has been fun.
Those of you that have been here with us, thank you. Appreciate your listening, and we would love to know what you think. Give us some feedback.
Yeah. Thanks for everybody who's listened. Stay curious, keep it curious, ask questions. Dad, I'll talk to you later, and we'll talk to everybody else very soon.
Very soon. All right. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Bridging Generations, Exploring Mental Health Together. This podcast is not a substitute for therapy. If you or someone you love is struggling, click the link in our podcast notes for a list of resources and to find mental health services in your area. Subscribe now and embark on this journey with us. Together, we can challenge barriers and build bridges to better mental health. And as always, lead with curiosity. We'll see you next time.